In this video, I'm going to show you how to format some doubles, and I'm also going to show you how to print out some things that you might not know how to do using your toString method inside a class. And actually, I don't have a driver, so I'm going to pause this video and make up a driver real quick. I forgot about that. Okay, now I have a driver set up. Am I recording? I think I am. Yes. So let's look at this. I just made this class up. It's called FormDouble. I have my instance variable mynum, and my zero argument constructor I just put in pi. Normally you would do like 0, but I just wanted to do it with pi, so that way I can create it without putting in any arguments. I have my not zero argument constructor, single argument constructor, because I'm just initializing this one instance variable, and then a brain method. I also get a random number and I return it. So this processor method just creates a random number and returns it. So a random number from 0 to 99 and returns it. And it'll return it as a double. So I have that part, and I'll show you how to print out that as well. And it's kind of cool. So my toString method only prints out mynum. I don't do anything with this part. I am going to print out a random double from 0 to 99 using this brain method, this processor method. But for now, I just have my toString that says here are my numbers but not formatted, and then I print out mynum. So let's run the driver and just see what happens. Compile. Oh, and my driver, I just create an instance of FormDouble, and I call it number1, and then I print out number1. So this, I use my zero argument constructor, so inside here should just be 3.1415, and then I print it out. So like nothing fancy. So here are my numbers but not formatted. There we go. Now, if I wanted to format it, I could format it here, but I don't want to format it there because I want to be able to print out a bunch of stuff, and I want my toString method to format this. So what I can do is, instead of just printing out mynum, I'm going to use string.format. I think it's string.format. I might have to, well, I'll try it, and then if not, I'll have to look it up. But so instead of printing out mynum, I'm going to format that. I'm going to actually convert it to a string. So string.format, and then what I do here is I type in quotations, %. How many decimal places do I want? I'm going to say 2 decimal places, so a period for 2 after the decimal, 2 numbers after the decimal, and this just truncates stuff. It doesn't round, but I'm going to be satisfied with truncating. Truncating means you just take off numbers. % after the decimal, 2, and F for a floating point number, which is just it's like a decimal also, but it stores it differently in memory. And end quotations on that. And so this, you're converting to a string and you're formatting it like this, so it takes the double, it only writes it as 2 decimal places, and then it's got to know what double are you talking about, what the heck are you talking about. So I can say my num right there, and I think this should do it. I'm not sure, but let's see, let's figure it out. Here are my numbers formatted. Right, because I used string. This is the new part, string.format, and then %. It takes your double and then it formats it so that when it prints it out to the screen, it's with 2 decimals after, or two numbers after the decimal. So let's run this and see what happens. Because remember, I created an instance of number, or I'm sorry, FormDouble, and it's called number1, and I'm printing it out using my toString. I could say .toString. This will do the exact same thing, but I'll do it like this first. I'll just show you. So compile, close, and the main method. and now it prints it out to 2 decimal places. If I wanted to do 3 decimal places, I could change this to 3. And let's just run it again, and it should be 3 decimal places. There it is, 3 decimal places. So you can do that to easily format doubles. It's not a usable double, it's not rounding, it's just converting it to a string and truncating. So it's just the easy way to print out stuff. I'm going to show you with .to. It does the exact same thing. ToString, .toString. So compile, close, same thing, 3 decimal places. Now, I also have this random number. And what if I want my ToString to print out this random number? Even though, like, I suppose I could say it's a method inside the number class. So I could say number dot what was that called? Rand double. I could say number one dot rand double. Let's see what this does. Can I do this? Yes, I can. So I'm going into my number one object, which is an instance of form double, and I'm saying access the random double method, like run that. So really, I'm not printing out number one anymore, which would be pi. I'm printing out a random double, and I'm using the ToString method. I wonder what happens. I haven't tried this before, so let's see. And it prints out something random. And I'm not formatting this. Why is it not formatting? Okay, let's see. Here, I'm only formatting my num. But in my driver, I'm not printing out my num. I'm printing out the whatever this method returns. Because I'm accessing number one dot random double accesses whatever random double returns. So I'm printing out that. So what if I want to format that with my ToString? I could format it inside this, but that would be a pain. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a pain, but I want to format it every time. Like, I don't want to have to specify the format here. If I specify it in my ToString, then I should be good. Like, I wouldn't have to do stuff. So, like here, this is what I'm going to say. I will add. So my output is going to be. I'm adding something. Here are my numbers formatted. Here is the random number formatted. And this will just access this brain method every single time in my ToString. So actually, when I print out number one in my driver, it's also going to access this and print this out. And I'll show you like what that looks like. So instead of doing string format whatever with my num, I'm going to do string dot format, and then again I'll do it to 2 decimal places. Change it to 2, and then instead of using my num, which is from here, I'm going to use rand double. Let's just see if this works. Rand double parentheses. I'm calling this method within the class, which is fine. I mean, it should do all this and then print out that with 2 decimal places. Let's see. Okay, compile's fine. And then here, if I just print out number 1, I could do .toString, but I'm going to do number 1. It's going to access the ToString method and print out pi to 3 decimal places, and it's going to print out I just lost it. It's going to print out my random number. It's going to access my brain method in my ToString. So that's I guess that's what this video is showing. I'm accessing my brain method, my processor method, in my ToString, so that every time I print out something, every time I print out one of my instances, one of my objects, one of my instances of form double, then it also accesses my brain method. So that's another way I can do stuff. So compile, and run. Let's see. It should print out some random number along with pi. So here's pi to 3 decimal places. I didn't put a space. Here's a random number formatted to 2 decimal places. If I run it again, this should be different because it's accessing my processor method, which made a random number. There's another random number, and I can just do it over and over, and it should be fine. Yeah. Hopefully that's helpful for like what does it do? Create a driver triangle 0 argument. Well, here this is like, because this is all the information you're supposed to print out. So the length of the base, that's an instance variable. You can print that out easily in your toString. Height, instance variable. Print that out easily. The length of the hypotenuse, that's kind of like, I mean, the calc hypotenuse, that's going to be a brain method, a processor method. So to print out that, you can do rand double. To format it, you can use string.format. I hope this was somewhat helpful. When you're printing out the hypotenuse, you're going to do something like this. You're going to access your processor method within your toString. And then alpha, calculating alpha is also a processor method. So you're going to do the same thing there to print it out. You're going to do something like this where you access your processor method from inside your toString. And then the area of the triangle, same exact idea. I hope this was helpful. I feel like you should be able to finish this homework assignment now. In the next couple videos, we'll work on P7 because it's confusing. Good night. Goodbye. So long. Farewell.